Hebikawa Arisa has Shizuki Keisuke pinned to the infirmary bed, leaning in close to interrogate him. She's absolutely convinced he's hiding something from her. She calls him a liar to his face. Keisuke is sweating buckets, feeling like he's about to be sick again from the sheer pressure. Keisuke tries to slide away, but Arisa isn't having it. She pouts and clamps back onto him to keep him from escaping. Suddenly, the door rattles open and Kusunoki Shizuka walks in. Both of them freeze in the most awkward position possible. Kusunoki is completely stunned seeing them together on the bed. Arisa quickly spins a lie about losing her balance and Keisuke catching her. Arisa decides to head out, leaving with a playful smile. She makes sure to tell Keisuke she'll see him next time, which definitely feels like a threat to him. Keisuke collapses back onto the bed in relief once she's gone. Kusunoki approaches quietly, having brought his bag for him. He apologizes for her having to deal with his mess earlier. She feels bad too, worried that she didn't realize how sick he was feeling. The two of them stand there in an awkward silence for a second. Keisuke asks if she wants to head home together. Kusunoki immediately brightens up and rushes to get her stuff, leaving him feeling completely drained. Lying there alone, Keisuke realizes how close he came to being exposed. He wonders why Arisa is so obsessed with getting close to them. Cut to the classroom where the teacher is yelling at Keisuke for spacing out. He realizes he forgot his textbook. The teacher warns that midterms are coming and anyone falling behind will be left in the dust. Keisuke tries to clear his head and focus on the exams. The teacher starts handing back quizzes, and Keisuke manages a solid 90. He looks over and sees Kusunoki slumped at her desk in total despair. She pulls a 30 on her math quiz and starts tearing up. Keisuke realizes that math is basically her kryptonite. Kusunoki asks if he'd be willing to tutor her so she doesn't fail the midterms. Keisuke feels like he owes her, so he considers it. He agrees to help, and she's instantly overjoyed. They decide it's best to study at her place. Kusunoki is beaming, thrilled that she gets to host him. Keisuke is panicking internally about how easily she steamrolls him. She tells him how much she's looking forward to it. Keisuke knows it's too late to back out now, even if he wanted to. Keisuke arrives at the Kusunoki residence, trying to act normal and keep his cool. He rings the doorbell and hears her rushing to meet him. Kusunoki opens the door looking great, but her outfit is way more revealing than Keisuke expected. He stares for a second, completely caught off guard. She apologizes for taking so long to get ready. She explains she used his mannequin trick but didn't realize the outfit was so revealing. Keisuke tries his best to stay composed. She invites him inside and tells him he doesn't have to worry about being loud since her parents aren't home. The house is completely empty except for the two of them today. She leads him to the living room, explaining her parents are at work. Keisuke's heart starts racing as he realizes they are alone. He walks into the living room and finds it covered in party balloons and a big, "Welcome Keisuke-kun" banner. She's treating the study session like a full-blown party and suggests playing video games. Keisuke has to remind her why they are actually there. As she goes to get some tea, Keisuke realizes she just sees him as a normal friend. He's actually relieved by that simplicity. They get to work, and Keisuke walks her through the equations. By the end of it, she's finally starting to understand the material. They finish ahead of schedule, and Kusunoki is feeling confident she'll ace the test. She thanks him for the help, but then her expression shifts to something more serious. She asks him point blank if he's uncomfortable around Arisa. Keisuke thinks about his past trauma. Most people would laugh if they knew, but he feels like Kusunoki might be different. He clenches his fist and admits that she does make him feel uneasy. He tells her he can't explain why just yet. He's still too afraid of what she might think of him. Kusunoki immediately bows down and starts apologizing for trying to force them to be friends. She promises to stop pushing the issue. She tells him that if he says he doesn't want to, that's enough reason for her. Keisuke is touched by her trust and resolves to tell her everything when he's finally ready. She smiles and gets ready to grab some games, but her legs have gone numb from sitting. She ends up stumbling and falling right into him. Kusunoki is still pinned on top of him, inches away from his face. She looks down at him and asks if he's all right after that fall. They are locked in a gaze that's way too intense for a study session. Keisuke can't even breathe, while Kusunoki just stares at him with wide, serious eyes. Keisuke is frozen as she hovers over him, his heart probably doing marathons. Neither of them is moving an inch. He finally manages to choke out her name, but she doesn't budge. She looks like she's trying to figure something out as they lie there together. Keisuke finally breaks the tension and tells her to get off, but she reveals her legs have completely fallen asleep. She's stuck in a mountain of pins and needles. She blurts out that he's pressing on her bladder and she really needs to pee. Keisuke is absolutely mortified, his face practically glowing red. Keisuke is completely drained after all the drama. He sighs, thinking this day has been way more than he can handle. As he heads out for the night, he reminds her to actually study before the test. Kusunoki bows and thanks him for everything, clearly feeling a bit better. Back at school, things are supposedly normal again, and Kusunoki even suggests they fight again soon. Keisuke isn't so sure he's ready for another round of that. He sits at his desk, head in his hands, terrified that his heart might actually break if they ever end up alone like that again. The memory of the incident is burned into his brain. A teacher calls out to him, snapping him out of his deep trance. He jumps, realizing he was staring into space for way too long. Out in the courtyard, Kusunoki meets up with Hebikawa Arisa, who's waiting for her with those calculating eyes. Kusunoki brings up Keisuke, trying to set some boundaries. Arisa seems interested, but she's playing it cool for now. Kusunoki makes it clear that she won't be helping Arisa get any closer to Keisuke. She's standing her ground for his sake. She tells Arisa that she can't share any details about him. Arisa just stares at her, silent for a moment. Surprisingly, Arisa just smiles and says she totally gets it. She promises not to be pushy, which Kusunoki finds incredibly relieving. They walk together like regular friends, and Arisa suggests a quick trip to the school store. It seems like the drama has finally settled down. But as Arisa walks away, she has a predatory smile on her face. She doesn't need an introduction anymore, she's ready to make her own move. Later, Keisuke is wandering around looking for Kusunoki when a soccer ball nearly takes his head off. A short, blonde kid in a school uniform walks up and asks if he's going to survive. Keisuke is a bit stunned by the bluntness. Keisuke assumes the kid is lost and asks if they should be at the elementary school down the street. The kid blows a fuse, yelling that she's a high schooler. She's so offended she practically tries to shove him through a wall. Kusunoki finds them and tells Keisuke that she managed to talk things out with Arisa. Keisuke is skeptical that Arisa actually gave up that easily. He knows her too well to think she'd just drop it. Kusunoki gives him a reassuring smile, telling him to just forget about it and move on. Keisuke decides to believe her and resolves to finally start enjoying his high school life without all the constant worrying. Midterms finally come and go. The teacher hands back the results, warning everyone to learn from their mistakes. Keisuke pulled a 95. Kusunoki is beaming with pride because she actually managed to get a perfect score. Keisuke is stunned, wondering if she's some kind of hidden genius. She tells him she wouldn't have done it without his help and wants to thank him with something special. She's completely fixated on trying a new strawberry drink at a popular cafe nearby. She's so excited she's practically sparkling. She gets a little shy, asking if he'd like to go with her. Keisuke can tell how much this means to her and can't really say no. They head to the cafe together after school. It's a trendy spot, and Kusunoki is clearly in her element. They place their orders, and the waitress tells them their drinks will be ready at the counter in a bit. While waiting, Keisuke looks for a table and notices someone sitting alone by the window. He sees the kid from earlier and is confused why a boy would be wearing a school skirt in public. The girl, Otomo, catches him staring and calls him a total creep for ogling her. She makes it very clear that she is indeed a girl. Kusunoki arrives with her drink and calls out to him, but she stops dead when she sees who he's talking to. Mo grabs Keisuke by his tie, but then she spots Kusunoki and her eyes go wide. Mo looks at her in disbelief and calls her princess. Kusunoki's face goes completely pale. Kusunoki immediately goes into panic mode, tugging on Keisuke's arm and trying to drag him away as fast as possible. Mo isn't letting it go, recognizing her friend even with the new straight hair. She's shocked to see they go to the same school. Kusunoki yells out that she has the wrong person and bolts out of the cafe, dragging a confused Keisuke behind her. Keisuke is completely blindsided to learn that the tomboy who attacked him was actually Kusunoki's close friend from elementary school. It's a lot to process, especially after her dramatic escape from the cafe. Kusunoki explains that she and Mo Otomo were inseparable until 4th grade, when Mo moved overseas. They lost touch and drifted apart, which makes this sudden reunion even more complicated for her. Keisuke asks about the princess nickname, and Kusunoki reveals it was a character from a movie they both loved. Mo used to say she looked exactly like the main character, and the name just stuck. She looks down, clearly upset, and says that the person Mo knew back then doesn't exist anymore. She feels like a completely different person now, and not in a way she's proud of. Keisuke tries to understand her logic, but he's struggling. To him, she's still the same girl, but she's convinced that her high school glow-up is just a hollow shell over a socially awkward introvert. She's terrified that if Mo sees what she's turned into, she'll lose all respect for her. She resolves to just keep her distance at school until she can learn how to actually talk to people like a normal human. Contrary to Kusunoki's plan, Mo Otomo is incredibly stubborn and starts showing up at their school every single day. She's determined to get answers, but Kusunoki makes a literal dash for it every time they lock eyes. Mo eventually corners Keisuke, grabbing him by the collar and demanding to speak. 2 other students watch from the side, completely baffled by the tiny girl's aggressive behavior toward their classmate. Mo leans against a locker, looking defeated as she asks Keisuke for help. She can't understand why Princess keeps running away from her when they used to be so close. She begs Keisuke to teach her how to be friends with her again, even though she hates having to ask him for anything. She knows her current approach clearly isn't working. Keisuke looks at her, realizing she's genuinely hurting. He asks her what their friendship was like when they were kids to see if he can find any clues to help them reconnect. Mo's face lights up as she explains that everyone used to call her Minimi because she followed Kusunoki everywhere. She was obsessed with her friend and wanted to be just like her. She describes the young Kusunoki as the center of the universe, strong, kind, smart, and cheerful. Keisuke listens in silence, barely able to reconcile that description with the girl he knows now. Mo looks down, wondering if she was wrong about their friendship all along. She always thought they were best friends, but now she isn't so sure. Keisuke can see the doubt starting to take over. Keisuke tries to reassure her, suggesting that things have just changed after so many years apart. He tells her that, Princess, is probably just more grown up now, which Mo seems to take to heart. Mo thanks him and rushes off, leaving Keisuke standing alone in the hallway. He realizes he might have just made things even more complicated between the two girls. Flashback to their elementary school days, a young Kusunoki with pigtails approaches Mo and some boys on the playground, asking if she can join their soccer game. She's the picture of a peppy, girlish child. Young Mo was actually quite annoyed by her at first, thinking her cutesy act was annoying. But everyone else adored her, and the boys were all too happy to let her play. To everyone's shock, the girly girl turned out to be a powerhouse on the field, blocking every single shot that came her way. The boys were stunned by her skill. Mo's irritation quickly turned into respect as she watched Kusunoki play. She realized that her friend was actually better than her and decided she needed to step up her game. In the heat of the game, Kusunoki stopped a point-blank shot with her own face. The force of the ball sent her flying back, much to the horror of everyone watching. Mo rushed over to check on her, terrified that she was seriously hurt. But Kusunoki just looked up with a bloody nose and a huge smile, thrilled that she'd stopped the ball. After getting cleaned up, Kusunoki was perfectly fine, and that was the moment Mo decided she wanted to be just like her. She saw the strength behind the princess exterior and was hooked. Back in the present, Mo sits in class staring at her other classmates, who are all obsessed with makeup and brands. She feels like she's the one who needs to grow up a bit more to catch up to Kusunoki. That night, Keisuke calls Kusunoki to talk things through. She's at her desk studying, still wearing her glasses, when she sees his name pop up on her screen. Keisuke doesn't sugarcoat things. He tells her she's overthinking the whole situation and that avoiding Mo is just going to cost her a chance at having a real friend. He challenges her to look past her insecurities and ask herself if she actually wants to be friends with Mo again or not. He knows the answer, but he needs her to admit it to herself. Kusunoki admits that she does want to be her friend, and Keisuke tells her she needs to talk to her face to face. He reminds her that she's a lot better at communicating now than she thinks. She takes his words to heart and decides she'll give it a shot. Keisuke's quiet support gives her the push she needs to finally face her past. The next day at school, Kusunoki finds Mo by the lockers and nervously asks if she would like to walk home together. Mo is completely stunned by the sudden change in attitude. They walk down the street, the tension thick between them. Mo admits she might have been too pushy before and tells Kusunoki they don't have to be friends if she doesn't want to. Kusunoki stops her, telling her not to be sorry. She confesses that having Mo talk to her actually made her incredibly happy, despite how much she was running away. She starts to explain everything, how she's not the person Mo remembers, how she spent junior high as a loner reading manga and playing video games instead of playing outside. She's practically in tears as she says she was terrified of disappointing her best friend. But Mo just laughs it off, saying all of that stuff doesn't matter to her at all. Mo tells her that even if she's changed, she's still princess to her. She's just happy to have her friend back, regardless of how she spends her free time now. Kusunoki's face lights up with a genuine, beautiful smile. She realizes that her glow-up didn't change the core of who she is, and Mo still sees that girl from the soccer field. The next morning, Keisuke sees them walking into school together, laughing and joking like no time has passed at all. He breathes a sigh of relief, glad his advice actually worked out for once. They greet him enthusiastically, and the sight of them together, the princess and her Minimi, is a welcome change from all the running and yelling of the past few days. Otomo bursts into class with way too much energy, practically dragging Kusunoki Shizuka to lunch. Since that day, these two have been basically joined at the hip. Keisuke Shizuki watches them from his desk, thinking back to the snippets he's heard of Kusunoki's past. She used to be the life of the party, the girl everyone rallied around. He still can't figure out how she turned into the shy introvert she was in junior high. Over in the gym, Keisuke's buddy Harino has noticed the new duo too. He brings up how Kusunoki's been spending all her time with the tiny girl from another class. Harino is convinced Otobe is a total knockout, but his friend Tsuji isn't buying it, calling her a bit boyish. Keisuke just stares at them, thinking both these guys are beyond help. Harino starts rambling about Otobe's healthy tan and big round eyes, which is getting into total creep territory. Keisuke realized he'd never actually looked at her that way until now. He takes a good look at her from across the room. Looking closely, he has to admit she does have a pretty face. Though, maybe, pretty isn't exactly the right word for her. Then, his brain just completely shuts off. He looks at her and says, "Handsome," right out loud. The moment it leaves his lips, he knows he screwed up. Otobe is fuming, asking what the hell handsome is supposed to mean. Keisuke panics and tries to explain that his friend called her pretty, and he just thought handsome was a better fit. Talk about digging your own grave. She storms out, totally pissed off, leaving Keisuke to wonder why she's always mad at him. He decides to head over to her classroom later to try and smooth things over. In classroom 1C, he sees Otobe helping a classmate out with a bandage. She pulls out a little pouch covered in cute charms, and for a second, he sees a totally different side of her. Kusunoki finds Keisuke and tells him he really messed up this time. She explains that Mo-chan is actually super into feminine stuff, she carries cute trinkets and even spends her spare time making sweets. That's news to Keisuke. Kusunoki warns him it's a really sensitive subject for her. Later on, Keisuke is stuck cleaning the stairs, dreading the next time he runs into her. And of course, there she is. She gives him a look of pure, unfiltered disgust that would make most guys run for the hills. He notices she's wearing a flower hairpin today. She snaps at him, asking what he's staring at and if he's gonna call her a guy again. Keisuke just stays quiet, trying to find a way to apologize that doesn't make things worse. He finally manages to tell her he's sorry for the handsome comment. He admits his phrasing was terrible and tells her straight up that she really does have a pretty face. Otobe gets so flustered she looks like she's about to overheat. She calls him weird, takes a step back, and her foot completely misses the step. Keisuke doesn't even think, he just lunges and catches her. Suddenly, they're in a full-blown hug right in the middle of the staircase. They scramble apart, both of them red as beets. Keisuke picks up her hairpin and hands it back. He tells her she should keep it on, because it actually suits her. He tells her it looks good on her, but Otobe just yells, "Shut up," and bolts. Keisuke is just left there sighing, wondering why everything with her has to be so difficult. Around the corner, Otobe is clutching her face, her heart doing drum solos in her chest. She whispers another, "Shut up," to nobody in particular, totally overwhelmed. Finally, midterms are over and summer break is officially here. The teacher gives them the usual lecture about making every day count, and Kusunoki asks Keisuke if he's excited. He's not exactly living the dream, he's working the entire summer at his uncle's cafe. One of the staff quit, so he's stuck serving iced coffee and hustling for cash. His uncle is a total troll, immediately asking if he's found a girlfriend yet. He teases Keisuke about how much he's cleaned up since middle school, which is the last thing he wants to hear. Keisuke tells him to shut his mouth and get back to work, but he can't stop an image of Kusunoki from floating into his head. Just then, the door chimes and he puts on his professional voice. It's Kusunoki and Otobe, looking like they stepped right out of a summer catalog. Keisuke is stunned, asking what they are doing there. Kusunoki apologizes, saying she couldn't talk Mo-chan out of coming. Keisuke is mortified, especially when his uncle starts grinning and asking which one is the girlfriend to be. He just wants them to eat and leave as fast as humanly possible. The girls sit down and start doing that thing where they talk about wanting cake but worrying about getting fat. Keisuke is just standing there, thinking this is the most girly thing he's ever had to listen to. He tells them the daily special is a mango tart, and they both light up like Christmas trees. He brings out the orders, watching them enjoy their unannounced visit. After a while, he realizes he doesn't actually mind them being there. They finish up and tell him to thank his uncle for the delicious cake. He asks if they have plans for the rest of the day. They proudly announce they're going bug hunting to see who can catch the biggest one. Keisuke just sighs, now he sees why they get along so well. He tells them it sounds like a great way to spend the summer. Kusunoki looks at him, her expression softening, and says she's actually a little sad. She says it's because she won't be able to see him as much. Keisuke's heart skips a beat. She always has a way of saying things that make him second-guess everything. She looks him straight in the eye and asks if he'd want to do something together, just the two of them. Keisuke's brain officially hits a file not found error. Otobe yells that she's ready to go, totally breaking the moment. Keisuke awkwardly declines the invite to join them for bug hunting, and they head to the counter. Otobe gets all shy again, claiming she only came to see his ticked-off face. Keisuke just smiles, thinking she still hates his guts. They head out, and Kusunoki says she'll call him later about his idea. Keisuke watches them go, then hears the door chime again. He turns around with a smile. Two more girls walk in, and one of them is the last person Keisuke ever wanted to see. It's Hibikawa Rarisa. Rarisa stops and stares, her eyes going wide. She says his name, Shizuki-kun. Keisuke is frozen solid, his worst nightmare standing right in front of him. She gives him that familiar, chilling smile. Keisuke is sweating bullets, heart racing as the past he tried so hard to bury comes clawing back. Her friend Maya is surprised to see him too, but Rarisa just calls it a funny coincidence. Keisuke is physically struggling, feeling like he's actually going to throw up. Rarisa explains they were just looking for a place to sit. She asks Kusunoki if she's out with a friend, and Kusunoki barely manages a yes before Otobe pulls her away. They leave, and Rarisa just watches them with that same unsettling smile. The door slams shut, leaving Keisuke alone with the ghost of his past. Outside, Kusunoki and Otobe are heading off, but Kusunoki keeps looking back at the cafe, feeling like something's wrong. Inside, Keisuke is staring at Maya Yamaka, realizing she's from his first-year junior high class. This is a nightmare scenario, the two people he wanted to avoid most are together. Back at school, Rarisa overheard Keisuke's friends talking about him eating lunch with two babes, and how lucky he is. That's how she found him. She asked for the name of the cafe, plotting her move. Rarisa thinks about how Keisuke has been dodging her at school. She's been looking for the perfect chance to corner him. Back at the cafe, Keisuke's uncle is still busy being a wingman, completely oblivious to the tension. Rarisa and Maya sit down and ask for a table for two. Maya asks if Keisuke is the guy Rarisa mentioned she liked. Rarisa confirms it, enjoying every second of the panic on Keisuke's face. They start talking about him as if he's not even there. Maya mentions junior high, and Keisuke can feel his heart pounding in his throat. Keisuke is having a total internal meltdown. He knows if Rarisa reveals the truth about his past, his new life is over. He's stuck standing behind the counter, trapped while they whisper and giggle at a table nearby. Then, Rarisa drops a bombshell. She says she doesn't bother remembering people who don't matter to her. It's cold as ice. For a second, Keisuke is actually relieved. If she's forgotten him, he's safe. He decides that being unimportant is exactly what he needs. He tells his uncle he needs some air and practically bolts out the door. We cut to the park, where Otobe is having a blast bug hunting. She catches a huge praying mantis like a total pro. She runs over to show her prize to Kusunoki, but the princess is clearly distracted. Kusunoki is still worried about Keisuke and Rarisa, hoping they're getting along okay. If only she knew. Keisuke finally heads back inside, and his uncle tells him that Rarisa and Maya left right after he did. His uncle asks why he suddenly ran outside like that. Keisuke just brushes it off, saying it was nothing. Uncle tells him to warn him next time he needs a break, but Keisuke says he's fine. He keeps telling himself it doesn't matter if she doesn't remember him. Uncle decides to let him go early anyway, telling him to treat himself to a good meal and head home. Keisuke heads out, feeling like a mess. His uncle is still watching him, clearly sensing that something is very wrong. Keisuke is agonizing over the whole encounter. He just wants to erase today from his memory and move on. He tries to cheer himself up by planning to buy some manga on the way home. But then, he spots a familiar silhouette. It's Rarisa. She greets him with a sickeningly sweet smile, and Keisuke feels like he's about to throw up. He asks what she's doing there, and she admits she asked his uncle for his schedule. She tells him she was hoping they could talk. She leans in, calling him cold for avoiding her. She reminds him how he used to think the world of her back in junior high. She suggests they find somewhere private to have a nice, long chat. They end up in a dark, empty park. Rarisa asks why he's so down, and Keisuke finally realizes she's been playing games this whole time. He tells her to stop the act and just say what she came to say. She drops the sweet voice and admits she knows exactly who he is. She recites his old junior high class and everything. Keisuke is horrified to realize she was listening in on his conversation at the cafe. She claims she didn't remember until he bolted out the door. She leans in and notes how much he's glowed up into a nice-looking guy. She gets right in his face, congratulating him on his transformation with a look that says she owns him. Keisuke tells her to stop mocking him and tries to pull away, but he ends up slipping and falling back. He hits the ground, and Rarisa leans over him, asking with fake concern if he's hurt himself. She asks if she's the reason he's always looking like he's on the verge of piking. She takes his stunned silence as a yes. She laughs, saying he's too easy to read. She claims it makes her sad that he hates her so much after everything. She calls him out for lying about not remembering her. Keisuke finally breaks and admits that he does. She asks if he liked her back then, and Keisuke is forced to face the truth he's been trying to hide. He admits he worshipped the ground she walked on. We get a flashback to junior high. Keisuke was the kid everyone picked on, getting shoved around and called names. A younger, heavier Keisuke tried to say, "Good morning," to Rarisa, expecting the worst. But she actually smiled back and replied. In his miserable, depressing world, she was the only light he had, or so he believed at the time. Shizuki Keisuke thinks back to junior high, remembering Hebikawa Rarisa as the most popular girl who, unlike the others, actually went out of her way to talk to a loser like him. Back in the present, Keisuke admits he liked her, but only the person he thought she was. Rarisa listens, then simply replies that the girl from his memory was her, too. Rarisa tells him he was the one who decided to put her on a pedestal. She asks if there's anything else he's still hiding from her. Angrily, Keisuke asks if she plans to tell everyone his secret or use it to blackmail him. Rarisa looks back at him, seemingly confused by the accusation. Rarisa laughs off the idea of blackmail, asking him what she could possibly gain from doing something like that. She promises not to blackmail him and says she won't be hanging around him anymore. As she prepares to leave, she tells him to stay away from Kusunoki and says her goodbyes. With a playful smile, Rarisa walks away, leaving Keisuke standing alone in the park, completely stunned by the encounter. Keisuke walks home through the city at night, his head hanging low as he processes everything that just happened. He reflects on Rarisa's reaction, realizing that the memories that have kept him awake at night meant absolutely nothing to her. he wasn't even a blip on her radar. He feels like a complete idiot for letting it affect him so much. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him, startling him out of his thoughts. It's Kusunoki Shizuka, standing there in a summer dress and a cap, looking surprised to run into him. Kusunoki looks worried as she calls his name again. Keisuke can only stare back, caught off guard by her sudden appearance. Kusunoki quickly begins to ramble, claiming she was just hanging around after spending time with Mo-chan and didn't expect to see him here. Keisuke doesn't buy it and asks if she was waiting for him. Kusunoki admits she was worried because of how terrified he looked when Rarisa showed up. Keisuke admits he was indeed terrified and feels pathetic for it. Kusunoki watches him closely. To break the tension, Keisuke asks her if she's thirsty. Seeing how drained he looks, Kusunoki decides to take charge and offers to buy him a drink, grabbing his arm and pulling him along toward a vending machine. They grab their drinks, and Kusunoki lets out a satisfied "Pwa tilde" after taking a big gulp of her cold cola. She tells him that cola tastes best in the heat of summer. Keisuke apologizes for making her worry, and Kusunoki gently notes that things clearly didn't go well for him tonight. Looking down at his drink, Keisuke asks her what she does when she's trying to forget a bad or painful memory. With a smug little finger point, Kusunoki declares that for her, the ultimate cure for bad memories is diving into anime and manga. She explains that she uses them as a distraction to help her forget. Keisuke can't help but smile, thinking that such a simple solution is very much like her. Kusunoki's expression turns serious as she admits it doesn't really solve everything. In quiet moments, like when she's eating or taking a bath, the memories come back and the pain repeats itself. She confesses that something awful happened to her a long time ago as well, and that some memories can never be fully erased. However, she tells him that lately, those bad memories haven't been bothering her as much as they used to. Keisuke looks at her, surprised by this change. Kusunoki tells him it's all thanks to him. Since they became friends, she's been constantly making new, happy memories that outweigh the old ones. She explains that while the bad times can't be erased, having more good times makes the bad ones feel a little less heavy. Keisuke listens, touched by her sincerity. With a bright, encouraging smile, Kusunoki tells him she wants them to make lots more good memories together. Keisuke is left speechless by her kindness. She immediately gets flustered, blushing as she realizes how embarrassing that sounded out loud. Kusunoki says she should head home, and Keisuke bids her good night. He watches her walk away, his mind still reeling. She turns back one last time to wave and shout that they should make this the best summer ever. Keisuke waves back, a genuine smile finally reaching his face. As he watches her disappear into the distance, Keisuke realizes how warm his heart feels compared to the despair he felt when he was with Hebikawa. He realizes he can't lie to himself anymore. He had a crush on the prettiest girl in his grade in junior high, and she broke him. And yet, somehow, he has once again fallen in love with the prettiest girl in his class. Back in his room, Keisuke collapses onto his bed, agonizing over his feelings. He wonders if he just falls for anyone who is cute, but he quickly tries to convince himself that it's more than that with Kusunoki. He realizes that what he felt for Rarisa was nothing compared to the depth of his feelings for Kusunoki. His phone suddenly vibrates, it's a new message from her. Kusunoki messages him with an idea to cheer him up, she wants to go to the beach together. Keisuke panics at the thought of being alone with her at the beach, thinking it's a bad idea with a capital B. Kusunoki quickly adds that they can invite Mo-chan if he wants. Keisuke thinks a small group would be even more awkward and suggests inviting his friends Harino and Tsuji as well. Kusunoki's reply shocks him. She says she doesn't want any other boys to see her in her bathing suit. Keisuke is left blushing and completely at her mercy. Meanwhile, Kusunoki is on the phone with Otomo, officially inviting her to join their beach trip. She explains to a skeptical-looking Mo that something bad happened to Keisuke and she wants to do something to cheer him up. Mo is stunned to hear that Kusunoki originally intended to go alone with him. She eventually agrees to go, shouting that they should all go together. Kusunoki happily asks Mo if she's free the next day to go shopping for bathing suits. The chapter ends with the two girls heading into a brightly lit shopping mall. Kusunoki Shizuka holds up a cow-patterned bikini top with a bright smile, asking her friend Mo for her opinion. Mo, clearly embarrassed by the bold choice, frantically tells her to put it back immediately. As they continue shopping, Mo can't help but stare, realizing that Kusunoki has a surprisingly large chest. When Kusunoki innocently asks what her cup size is, a flustered Mo jumps in surprise, completely caught off guard by the blunt question. Mo admits she hasn't checked her measurements in a long time. Kusunoki suggests getting a store employee to help, but Mo immediately shuts down the idea, far too embarrassed to let a stranger measure her. Seeing her friend's distress, Kusunoki cheerfully offers to take the measurements herself instead. She runs off to find a tape measure, leaving an even more mortified Mo shouting after her in protest. After a long day of shopping, Kusunoki is full of energy, declaring it a productive trip. In contrast, Mo looks completely drained, barely able to keep up with her friend's enthusiasm. Kusunoki suggests stopping at a cafe before they head home. As they walk together through the city, Mo catches a glimpse of Kusunoki's profile and is struck by a surprisingly serious look in her eyes. Watching her friend walk ahead, Mo reflects on that brief moment of vulnerability, realizing that she has never seen Kusunoki wear such a heavy expression before. The chapter ends with the two girls continuing their walk into the night.